Hey, what's good guys? This is Chris from WearTesters.com. Welcome back to the official WearTesters.com YouTube channel, the only channel here on YouTube regarding sneakers, where you come for the review and stay for the conversation. Today, we have the performance review on these bad boys right here. This is the Nike Kobe 4 Protro, and yes, they are still bad boys. The traction on these guys is one of my favorites of all time. It's not the best of all time. That still goes to the Nike Kobe 9 and the Air Jordan 28, but these guys are very damn close. And what we have here is just beautiful herringbone. It's everywhere. It's aggressive. This was one of the first, at least from when I started testing shoes, this was one of the first highly aggressive sneakers as far as traction is concerned that just always has stuck out in my mind since then. Normally what they do with herringbone traction, especially if you look at older sneakers, they'll kind of place it within the rubber. So it's kind of a flat surface, and then you got herringbone on there. So the more weight you put on there, the more grip you'll get. This guy did the exact opposite. It basically carved out herringbone everywhere, which is awesome. So there's not one section of the shoe where the floor is not in contact with the rubber and its traction pattern. So these guys just bite really well. They do start off very slick for some reason. A lot of the newer Nike shoes are starting off like that. I was notified by one of the designers that works over at the brands, and he was saying that normally they'll, especially nowadays when they're putting the rubber into the molds, they'll kind of like coat the mold almost like what you would like when you're making pancakes to a pan. And so they'll coat it so that the rubber comes out a lot easier. There's not fraying and all that stuff or any tears within the rubber itself. So if you have any weird slippage and slick issues with the traction when you first start out in a lot of these recent Nikes, that is why they're, what's that stuff called?
Pam.
Pam? Okay, I called it Panko. Is that the same thing? No?
I don't think so.
Okay, then maybe, I don't know. I don't cook. But whatever's going on over there, it's just a little slick to start. Give it a little bit of time to break in if you wanted to take them outside real quick and just kind of like grind them down a little bit. Some people even use sandpaper. It's all entirely up to you. You don't have to do anything. You can just let them break in naturally indoors. It's entirely up to you. They've performed just as good as I remember. And the only downside is that the rubber's a little softer. So right here at the toe areas, for whatever reason, I do have some traction peeling off. Other than that though, they've held their own over the past 10 years. No complaints, just like last time. These things are awesome. Now the cushion is the big shoes kind of controversy due to a typo that nobody decided to notify anybody of. It's interesting because some people are trying to back Nike up, and it's weird because like some of these same people are like, yeah, I'm not affiliated with any brands or whatever, and it's just kind of like they're excusing a typo as if it happens, which is true, because I even said the same thing when we were the ones to unveil the information, being like, yo, like the press release was incorrect. And then what ends up happening though is that whenever something happens within a brand and there is a change, especially a release date, because they want you to buy these shoes. So if there is a release date, the first thing that they do is they notify the public. Yet they did not do that with the press release information on the tech specs, which I just find to be a really bad mistake. I don't want to say it's like that they were maliciously out there to be like, no, we're going to deceive everybody, we're going to bait and switch, we're going to tell you that it's got one thing and then it all of a sudden doesn't. I don't think that they were trying to do that. I just think that somebody messed up. There was a typo in what they should have done, because they do this on the regular. And I get this from other companies. As soon as I get like a press release from an Under Armour or an Adidas, even Nike or Jordan brand, if there's a mistake in there, they notify you ASAP, being like, yo, there's a mistake, can you please update? It's normal. So why they didn't do that with these, I will never know, and I will never understand, and I would never give them the excuse of being like, nah man, it's cool because you know these are Kobe's. Y'all gotta say something. You cannot tell people what they have and then take that back and then just be like, we didn't say that. You have to just own it. Now for what they do actually have is a Phylon midsole, which is a lot softer than the originals, and then they have a large volume Zoom Air unit in the heel, which is identical to the originals. I do think that these do feel a little bit better than the original version. I don't think it's leaps and bounds better. I don't think it's drastically better. I don't think it's $175 better, but it is better nonetheless. So I don't know if you want to consider that Protro or not. Protro is their marketing term for performance retro, and if you're going to use a term like that to market something, then you have to actually have whatever it is that you're marketing. If you want to consider that a Protro feature, that's cool. I wouldn't argue with it. I don't even know if I consider it one. All I know is how it feels. I do like how they feel. I think they're super comfortable, just like the first ones. Not on that same level. Again, like I was saying, these are a little bit more comfortable, a little bit softer underfoot, but they still provide you the same exact thing, which is a lot of heel cushion that I actually don't care for. Like, I don't need that. And then they have a lot of court feel with a little bit of kind of like a plush ride and all that stuff. Will it bottom out? Eventually it's foam. I mean, it'll happen no matter what type of foam it is. So again, I just think that what our anticipation levels were based off of the press release originally for full length zoom, I think that that would have took these from like being as awesome as they are to just being Hall of Fame level, like greatest of all time. You know what I'm saying? Like, that would have made this shoe way better than the original, and it would have been totally awesome. Now the materials again are something that I actually find to be a little bit nicer than the originals. I don't know if it's because my originals were old or whatever it is, but for some reason the synthetic that they use on the toes here are just a lot softer. They took almost no time to break in. So other than making the Phylon midsole slightly softer than what we used to have 10 years ago, I think that the materials again are just that one little tweak that they did that kind of feels a little bit better. And then we have that first gen Flywire, which I think is just funny because it's just thread and plastic. So plastic is a good source of material that's not going to change its shape. Like, it's not going to overstretch or anything like that. It's going to be able to retain this look and shape forever. So in that sense, I think that everything in the materials are good. I would even say that they are slightly better than the originals. This is only one colorway though. I'm very curious to see what they do with future colorways. Like the Protro ones, we got every single original colorway almost re-released, and the materials on most of them were awesome. Now these guys, my favorite colorway is the Minneapolis Lakers, and those had like a synthetic nubuck upper. I'm curious what they're gonna feel like if they even re-release those. I don't know. Now the overall fit, I feel is true to size. That's what I went with. They fit me perfectly. I would recommend that to anybody else. The materials, like I was saying before, a little bit softer than what I remember the originals being. I don't know if they're soft enough to really widen out a lot. So if you are a wide footer, I would go in store, try them on just in case. However, true to size works for me. The lockdown is just as I remember. These things just fit your foot perfectly. The way that everything, you know, laces and moves around everything around your foot, I just think is awesome. This is one of the first successful kind of like low tops. So this was one of the shoes that made low tops, what would you call it, like acceptable? Also, a lot of people are going to be like, Kyle Kuzma just rolled his ankle in these. He did. I don't know if it was exactly the shoe's fault because it looked like he misstepped when he landed. It looked like he should have braked with his heel and then rode into his stride, and instead he went to stop and he kind of landed weird in the midfoot area, and then his ankle buckled. I think that that was just a misstep, poor footwork, or just an accident, if that's what you like, simply put, accident. I don't think that it was necessarily the shoe's fault.
An outrigger can't save everything.
Well, the outrigger's up here, so that's for forefoot planting, and that's to
I thought it was so that you don't tip over.
It is forefoot planting though. The guy landed right here, and then all of a sudden it went, so like all of his weight was in the center. There's no outrigger there. If anything, it's cut out there. Not a good idea. So he should have landed boom or landed boom, but instead he landed here and then, and sorry, you know what I mean? I just don't think it was the shoes. I think it was a poor footing, and that stuff happens all the time. But yeah, overall lockdown is awesome. The lacing system is great. The top eyelet right there keeps everything drawn in. I don't even use the top eyelet half the time because these laces are hella short.
Literally.
Oh yeah, yeah. The thing is, I like to double knot my laces, and I can barely do it with these things. So like when I really want to wrench things up, I'll take it down one and then really tighten them up and double knot it, because that bothers me. It's a pet peeve on court. I need to be able to double knot my laces. For whatever reason, these laces are just really short, and I don't know why. The support is just like it was in the original. Nothing has really changed. You still have the outrigger. You got a semi-wide base in the forefoot. You got that glass-based carbon fiber shank plate right there at the midfoot. You got the heel counter, which they said that they tweaked a little bit, but they didn't. It's identical to the original. The overall fit and lockdown helps all of those things really come together, and that is how this guy became a beast of a shoe. The Kobe 4 is awesome. It was back then. It still is now. I absolutely love these things. I just don't love what they did to them or didn't do. Depends on which way you want to look at it. I don't like the press release, I don't like the price increase, and I don't like the non-tech increase. So that pretty much takes care of it for these guys right here. Do I recommend the shoe as far as performance is concerned? Yes, I do. I recommended them back then. I still recommend them now. They're not much different than the originals. There's just a couple of minor things here or there. Softer materials, softer foam. That's about it. The price is definitely increased. I think that that's a bunch of BS, especially for no changes. If anything, you can kind of consider these a reduction because they removed the little thin pad of lunar that used to be in the forefoot. However, that pad of lunar was so thin that I really don't think it makes that much of a difference that it's missing. So yeah, if you wanted to grab these and you wanted to play in them, I recommend grabbing the Protro version first, because the old versions, they just don't age as well. The glue is getting old now. The foams will seize up. They don't last forever and all that stuff. So if you wanted to play in a pair of Kobe 4s, again, I would just go with this version just because it's newer, it's fresher, the rubber's gonna be good to go. So it's gonna be more worth your money no matter what you're spending on it, just because, you know, the original originals are going to be a little bit more expensive because of the fact that they are originals. If you need any more performance information, hit the link in the description box below. It'll take you over to WearTesters.com where you can find out their price, their weight, and their scores. But we all know their price already, $175, kind of a ripoff. Thank you so much for watching. Thanks for all the support, and until next time, guys, have a good one.
I feel like they should just scrap the shoe.
Why?
Just because there's been like such a bad buzz about this. So like, don't do anymore. And if you're gonna actually Protro something, just skip on to the next shoe and do it right.
I don't know. I still really like these. They're fun as hell to play in. It's a good shoe.
Well, then they need to like do some big rehab on their marketing for it.
I don't know about that either because it's too late. You know what I mean? Like, what are they gonna do?
Take the Protro out of the name.
And just what? Just call it the Kobe 4 Retro?
Yeah.
Or re-release?
Yeah.
That's it? Do you think that would be enough? Like, if you're a consumer?
And then also take down the price for all the other colorways.
They're not doing that. Nike's not doing that. What are you talking about? You want Nike to be like, hey guys, just kidding.
We messed up, yes. Own it.
Yeah, but they're not gonna own it like that. Not financially. As consumers, you gotta vote with your wallet. Sorry. Like, they're just not doing it. There is no way that they're dropping the price down.